inviting me to come and speak to you. Lesson number 1, don't be the 5th person on the list. Everything that I had planned to talk to you about, pretty much everyone else is covered. So lesson number 1, if you could get first in line, do that. So I'm not going to bore you too much with some of the other topics that the other ladies have covered. But I've gone wrong already. Yeah, so I'm Jenny Koo, and I work in quite a bespoke role within RBS. It's called a Risk Performance Oversight Manager. Essentially, I look after all the exco members of the bank, making sure that they do what they say they're going to do, and I report to the regulators to basically say whether or not they've done what they said they were going to do. So, as I said, I work for RBS. We're always in the news, regularly. It's quite tough, hence why my job exists. I literally am kind of like a mole within the bank, but one that's well known to all the auditors. So just to give you a bit of a background about myself, I did a degree in sociology and psychology. From there, I did a PGCE, essentially qualified as a primary school teacher. During that time, I started working at RBS. I've been there 16 years now, not quite what I had in plan. In that 16 years, I've done 8 different roles, and I've seen the bank go through 3 buyouts of other companies, and quite a few mergers of smaller organisations. So, how did I end up working for RBS for 16 years when actually I was going to be a teacher? I want to talk to you about something called anchors, because your life changes, your priorities change as you get older, and you have to be able to identify what those anchors are, what those things are that make you keep going in life. And I want to talk to you about attitude, mainly because when I first started at RBS, it was actually part of direct line insurance. I needed money. I was at university, I wanted to go out all the time. Overdraft wasn't going to do it. So, quite frankly, I needed a job, but I wanted one that was going to be easy. I wanted one that was going to be paid well, and I wanted one that it didn't interfere with my weekends. So I wasn't going to go work in a bar, I wasn't going to go work in a shop. I wanted to be out in the pub at 8 o'clock every Saturday. That was my plan. So, with that in mind, I sat along basically hounding everybody I knew to say, come on, there must be a job somewhere that enabled me to fit around my university life, my lectures, and still go out and enjoy myself. And then one day, one of my housemates came back from a successful interview and said, you're never going to guess what? I've just secured a job and they're going to pay me £500 if I can get someone else through the interview process. This sounds quite interesting. What do I get out of this? And he said, well, it's £500. I'll split it with you if you do it. £250 back then, hell of a lot of money. That was going to cover me for lights out for about a good couple of weeks. So off I went along to this interview. It was a call centre job selling car insurance. Not very glamorous, but do you know what? Really, really well paid. And the office closed at 6 o'clock on a Saturday night. Great. Perfect. Ticked all the boxes. So I went along to this interview and I was feeling a bit, don't really know if I can do this job. I know nothing about cars, no interest in insurance. I did have it on my car, but Mum did all of that. But what was my driver was, this is going to be a really well-paid job for a student. So, and this is where the picture comes in. I was this tiny little cat, feeling quite scared. But you know what? This job is talking. I love talking. I was going to get paid to talk to people. Okay, maybe that subject I didn't really know. But at the end of the day, it was 3 hours for a couple of nights a week, 6 hours on a Saturday, paid to talk on the phone. I'm female, perfect job. So I went in, all very proud. Yeah, I can do this. And then came the killer question. So, what do you know about car insurance? I know it costs my mum quite a lot of money each month. That's pretty much about it. But then, do you know what? just kind of going back to what Navisha was saying earlier, I was honest. And I said, actually, what is it that you're going to do to make me understand about your product? And then how are you going to make me sell that? You know, you need to train me up and get me to sell this product. And the guy who was sat behind the desk at the time just looked at me and said, right, okay, so you're basically telling me you know nothing. So I'm 19 years old. No. Okay. So I walked out and I thought, don't think I got that. I barely got out of the lift downstairs and I get a phone call on my mobile. Can you start next week for your training? Yeah, brilliant. So I'd done it. That was my first step into RBS. It was one of the subsidiaries. It was a call centre job, and the only reason I really got the job was basically I was honest at the interview to say I wanted it because I wanted to be paid well, and yeah, I knew nothing about the job either. But you know what? They had a perfect training programme, so I started the following week. It was all paid, by the way, training, so win-win. 6 weeks training, and then I was let loose on the phones. And I was confident in being able to say to people, do you know what? I'm here because I need the money. I'm not ashamed of that. As the time went on in that role, that was my first role in direct line insurance, which was part of RBS. I soon cottoned on that actually there was an easier job than being on the phone, and that was the person who looked after us all. Right, yeah, this could work well. What do I need to get to that job? You just need to sell really well and be able to prove that you can look after a team. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, 19 years old, can't be that hard, not a problem. So I went to a couple of the other team leaders around and basically said, what is it that you do that I'm not doing at the moment so that I can get to this role? This went on for about maybe another 12 months where I was literally sitting in, taking every opportunity around me to learn what people did. There was more to it, obviously, than just being good on the phone. You had to be sensitive to people's issues, you had to understand when your team didn't turn up for work, you had to do shift patterns, you had to give back feedback, you had to say complaints, do I really want this? And then somebody showed me the salary. Yeah, I'll get over it, it's not a problem, I will just push myself and keep going. So again, driver for me, I'm still at university, still studying full time, but I want that job now, because I'm going to get paid more. And yeah, so I went to the manager and was like, right, I want to make sure that I am in line for that next job. And he was great. He said, okay, all right, that's fine. Let's get you on a programme for development to make sure you are. So to cut a long story short there, I got the job. I was the youngest ever team leader, much to the annoyance of many people who'd been in the call centre at that time. They'd worked along, they'd hoped they were going to get it, but they never openly said it. So a couple of us were interviewed, but because I'd had a programme of development throughout, because I'd mentioned it, I flew through the interview process and I got the job. So I then became the youngest ever team leader, looking after 12 members of staff, who all thought it was hilarious because they were all at university as well, so they kind of figured, oh, great, we've got a student as a team leader, she won't mind if I'm 10 minutes late, she'll understand that I've overslept. I suddenly had to become this different person. But whilst being true to myself, because obviously, you know, my driver was pretty much the same as theirs, good paid job, wasn't really that hard. But you know what, my responsibilities and my drivers have changed now. I started to see that actually this organisation was really good for development. So I looked at what was important to me. Do I just want to continue to just be paid well and leave once I graduated? Or was I going to make something of this? During this time, I decided to do my PGCE as well, so that kind of bought me an extra year of being paid quite well while studying. Bought myself a car, and then I thought, oh, quite like this lifestyle. But do you know what? Wasn't intended to stay at RBS. I'll have my notice in. I'm going to go off and pursue my teaching. Hadn't really investigated that too much because actually looking back now, the pay for a primary school teacher versus what I was already being paid as a part-time team leader was not that far different. And anyway, I went into the office and basically said, right, I've passed my PGCE, I've got my placement in a school, I'm going to be a newly qualified teacher, I'm handed in my notice. And my boss was mortified. What do you mean you're leaving? Like, well, you knew I wasn't going to be here for long. I'm doing a part-time job, need something different. And he basically turned around and said, you know what, can you just give me 12 months? There's a job that's coming up, which I think you'd be great for. It's a full-time job, so, you know, salary goes with it. Just give me 12 months and see how you feel. Okay, what's the salary? Again, there's a bit of a theme here. He told me the salary. Really like that salary. Okay, I'll give it a go. What have I got to lose? You know, at the end of the day, go through the interview. If I don't get it, I'll go off into my teaching. If I get it, bonus, with handbag, shoes. So, off I went to the interview. Knew nothing about the role, other than the fact that I needed to be able to lead a good team. But the real killer for me for this job was that actually I didn't have any direct line management. So having looked after 12 people and coached them and kind of, you know, felt like I was bringing them through a journey with me, I was suddenly going to be in charge of this kind of corporate speak, which was a virtual team. And you'll hear this a lot, which basically means if it goes really well, you don't get rewarded, but if it goes really bad, it's your fault. But again, it's quite young. What could possibly go wrong? This money's great. I'm going to do this. So anyway, I went through the interview and I got the job. It had its own ups and downs. There was, again, a lot of other people in the call centre at the time and the wider organisation who basically saw me as somebody that she's been handed jobs on a plate. They hadn't really fully appreciated all the steps I'd taken behind the scenes to build my own personal brand, to build trust, you know, with the senior leaders. If I said I was going to do something, I was going to do it. There was absolutely no doubt about it, I'd deliver. And that was one of the reasons that, you know, I was noticed, I suppose. You know, I didn't plonk myself in front of people and say, hello, I'm here, I want the next job. I did something about it to get me there. So, being a female in the organisation, that particular role was probably the most challenging role ever, being female. Mainly because I had so many other female leaders who didn't like the fact that I'd come up the ranks quite quickly, and the fact that I kept telling people, I'm not staying, it's all right, I'll be gone soon, I'm going to go off and do teaching, I'm just here just to get some money together. So a lot of female leaders kind of viewed me as a bit of an outsider, I suppose, an outside horse, you know, in a race that was just going to come up and suddenly, oh, she's there. And it did have its challenges, but you know what? It didn't bother me because I just kept saying to myself, I'm not staying long. I'm just going to do it for a couple of years and I'm going to go. So from that step onwards, the organisation was getting quite large. RBS had decided to come in and we were no longer allowed to be called Direct Line. We were being RBS branded, and I don't know how many of you probably remember, but we were under the Sir Fred Goodwin days. And he was just basically this guy that rebranded everything blue, put this logo on everything, and whatever company you were, you suddenly were RBS beforehand. RBS and then something else. But what I saw was, it opened up a massive opportunity for us, because I'd been stuck in this little insurance bubble, and all of a sudden, RBS came in and said, you know what, you're all part of one big family, it doesn't matter that you're called Direct Line, it doesn't matter that you're called Churchill, Green Flag, I can't remember the other ones, but there's quite a lot of them. You're all part of the RBS family. So, now this could be interesting. I want to travel the world, see what I can do. Not going to do that as a teacher, really. Although I did do my teacher training, teaching English as a foreign language. This was going to be better paid. So I started looking on the internet and having a look at what jobs were available. Didn't really go that far, actually. I ended up applying for a job that was down in Bromley. Didn't do my geography very well either, because they told me it was London. It's actually Kent. So I got this job down in Bromley, and because it was on my terms this time, I'd gone down. The job was a head office role, as they badged them back then, and I had no intention of moving. You know, I'd done all these jobs in the Midlands. I'd built up a little savings account. I was going to buy a house. Never going to happen in London. Didn't really want to work in London either. I didn't like the tubes, I didn't really like the constant too many people around me. So I went to this interview on the basis of, do you know what? If I'm good enough for this job, I can do it anywhere, and I can do it in Birmingham. And if they really want me down here, they're going to have to pay for me to come down here on a daily basis. And stupidly, they agreed. So they offered me the job and said, do you know what? Yeah, we want you here at least 4 days a week, and we're going to pay for your travel. I was now in this dilemma where I thought, I can't really say no because I put it on the table. But do you know what? Again, I'll give it 2 years, see what happens. So I got this promotion down in Bromley. They were paying for my travel, which I thought was absolutely hilarious at the time, because I was like, oh, how does this work? Everyone else has to pay for their own travel to work. But anyway, they did it. And then this is where I suppose my life pattern changed a little. I was travelling a lot, but it was my choice travelling down to London. I used to get up in the morning at 4:30, just so I could be in the office before 8:30. It was a 2.5-hour journey each way. I did sleep that time, by the way. It wasn't I was working, get on the train and go to sleep. I did that for 2.5 years, and I kind of decided disturbed sleep on a train wasn't great. Needed to come back to Birmingham. And this probably isn't my wisest of moves, and I wouldn't suggest that this is the best thing to do ever, but I literally filtered the job pages by Birmingham, and that was it. Looked at the jobs that were available and thought, yeah, that looks like I could do that. Paid kind of well, but actually the main thing was it was back in Birmingham. So I applied. Went to the interview, again completely honest, I just said, look, until I decide where my career is going, I just want to be back in Birmingham. I can do this job. It was a credit risk analyst, so basically lending large sums of money to corporate customers. Whether they wanted to build a property or they wanted to start a new product in their product range. I'd look through a load of assessments and their financials and say yes or no, whether we'd lend them £10 or £15 million or 25 million or whatever. Never done it before, but I figured how hard could it be? If your numbers add up, if you're profitable, you can do it. And I got the job. It didn't take long after that when probably about my third application that sat there, this job isn't for me. So I just went to my manager at the time and said, look, I need something else. This is really quite boring. It's not what I want to do. Just to give you notice, I might leave and go and pursue my teaching again. At that point, the line manager who'd known me for about 3 months basically just turned around and said, you know what, you've been really open and honest. It's not right that you've come in here and we've actually bored you. So, what is it that you want to do? I know nothing really about banking. I've done insurance, I've come into banking, I've looked at a couple of credit applications. There's got to be more to banking than this, because otherwise you guys are really boring people. I had no shame. I kind of just said it how it was. I didn't get sacked, which was very nice. But my manager took that on board and said, actually, do you know what, you're right. It must seem like it's a really boring place to work if that's all you do day in, day out. And I was essentially set on this challenge to look for something that I wanted to do within the organisation to stop me from leaving. And I found a project. So I went on this project. Again, I won't bore you with the project, but fantastic opportunity. And I was spotted by an executive of the bank who basically said, I want you to come and work for me. I was like, okay. During this time, we'd had a credit crisis as well. So everyone was pretty much defaulting on loans. If any of you have watched The Big Short, the new film that's out about all the dodgy trading that goes on, that was pretty much the project that I was working on to try and remediate that before the regulators found out. But it opened my eyes. It was something I'd never worked on before. Something new. The theme here is it doesn't matter that you don't know, you can learn. And that's what I did. And then it kind of takes me through to the role that I'm doing now. And what I kind of wanted to talk to you about was, the focus that I had throughout was, in the early stages, money. And that's not going to be true for all of you. And you need to have to think about what it is that drives you to want to go to work. You have to find something that is meaningful to you. Not that, this probably does sound really bad now, but I found something that I was passionate about because I was continually being able to learn. It didn't matter what the topic was, I just wanted to learn more about it. And the fact that I was being paid well to do that was what kept driving me. You have to build a bit of resilience against it. In the back of my mind, I still look at, do you know what, should I have gone into teaching or not? People will look at you a little odd. Being a female in the bank that speaks up regularly, challenges people, that says to them, no, you're wrong, or no, don't give me that. Or even when I literally just said, you know what, I need to go home and cook dinner, because my other half can't cook, and if I let them cook, I won't be in for about 3 weeks for food poisoning. So, that's the kind of attitude and the confidence you need to be able to have, no matter what it is that you're doing, to be able to speak up and being true to yourself. And building a good support network. I've got my colleague Raj here as well. We co-chair the RBS Focus Women Committee in the Midlands. Originally it was launched in 2007, and we've got lots of committees over the country that essentially supports attracting and retaining talented females. And that's kind of where I'm getting my escape with my teaching, because although being a female in what is considered a male-dominated environment, I've never come across that problem other than with other females. So I guess the point is, if you're able to speak to your managers or the people that you're working closely with about what it is that you truly want, there will be plenty of people around you willing to support you, whether they're male or female. And one of the things at RBS that works very well is that we have this Focus Women Committee, and we have numerous other inclusion committees, from diversity networks, and we also have a family and carers network. And we listen to people about what it is that they're experiencing. Whilst I might not have necessarily suffered from any kind of inclusion issues within RBS, people do, and there are other females within the bank that do. So let's find out what it is that what their issues are and what can we do to help them. So the point is, if you speak up about it, there'll be plenty of people there to help you. If you want to be a little bit out there, you've got to be able to drive your own career. I've been there, it's 16 years, nearly 17 years I've been there, never intended to be there that long. But it is a fantastic place to work, and I can't fault it at any point along my journey. But your focus for yourself personally needs to be that you're comfortable with it. We've been through so much bad press. At one stage we weren't even allowed to walk around with RBS umbrellas for fear that somebody would egg us. I was that defiant person that kept walking around with the RBS umbrella because I kind of thought, what's the worst thing that can happen? I never got egged, but somebody did steal my RBS umbrella at work. So anyway. But yeah, it's being proud of who you work for, being proud because you've been able to be true to yourself. Some of my friends would say I haven't been true to myself because I never followed the teaching plan. Yeah, the only thing that I'm envious of that is that I get every summer off. But everything else, you know what, my job's great. I get to sit there and tell people that they're not doing their job, and there's nothing that they can do or say to me because of the fact that they think, oh, she's going to tell the regulators anyway. I sit there and I set expectations from a risk perspective for all of our extremely senior leaders. And I get paid to do that. I basically tell them that they're not doing a good job. So, that's me. If you have any questions?
Okay, so I'll just start with our first question that we're asking all of our guests today, which is, what would you do if you weren't afraid?
Okay, from a career perspective, I would go set up a little B&B, but that's more kind of financially restricting than anything. From a personal perspective, I'd actually go on a cruise. I'm absolutely terrified of boats. But everyone keeps showing me all these nice pictures of cruises. Can't do it.
Okay, we'll just